The footage from this video was recorded thanks to the EA Game Changers program. So I would like to thank EA for allowing me the chance to play the game early and bring you guys this content. Disclaimer. Literally hundreds of people asked me my first impressions, so this is merely a video to address that. I'm not forcing anyone to think of the game the way I do. I encourage you all to listen to yourselves first. I know what I like in a football game, so I will always formulate my own opinions. I'd also like to add that regardless of my thoughts, this will not influence the commitments for my channel as I discussed in the previous video. I'll still be here to try and make the content that I do like, as well as to see what sort of stuff I can make that might help those of you who are interested to get better at the game. And for those who will ask, no, I did not spend and will not spend any money on FIFA points. Greetings! Now, a highly requested video from me. This is my very first impressions on FIFA 21, and I want to make that clear. That's what I'll limit this video to, as to be honest, I'm not a big fan of this game, and as a football lover, it's always very disappointing. In the future, I'll make my usual detailed videos with examples to articulate in depth my thoughts, but right now the disappointment of another year of certain problems remaining is too high, so I'd rather give you guys a first impressions video real quick, and you can make of that what you will. I'll only discuss the gameplay, I'll leave the menus for others, and I want to start off with mostly everything that I do like and I do enjoy, because there are some changes that I think are good. It's just that in the grand scheme of things, other aspects of the game let everything down. First off, I'm a very big fan of the weight of the passes. Keyword here is the weight. That means the speed at which your passes are performed. They're really nice and crisp, and they allow you to accelerate and decelerate the game quite effectively and access multiple speeds. It's arcadey, and in this regard, I'm generally a big fan of that for a video game. The bad news about passing is that there are still instances where you can't seem to intercept a bunch of bad passes that your opponent might make, and that's always a bit of a drag. I also think there was a significant improvement in finishing 1v1 situations. I think a great job was done to make far post finishing a lot more viable, thank God, and it's a huge weight off my psyche not having to worry about shooting near post all day. Perhaps some finesses from far are way too good right now, but I'm not too sure yet. I need to face way more pay-to-win sweats, and I need to have pay-to-win players myself, which I don't because I have a road to glory. The bad news about finishing is that near post shots are still extremely viable. And I'm not talking about normal near post shots. I'm talking about the absurd ones. I don't have the clips ready yet, but don't worry, we'll have plenty when the time comes. Fact of the matter is that I've seen way too many tight angle near post shots, absurd tight angle near post shots, go in on 90+ rated keepers. Something off the field that impacts the gameplay, which I love, is these controller settings. Finally, we can turn off things like auto clearances, auto shots, and for me, most importantly, auto flare passes off. Meaning that if I want to turn it off, which I have, my players will not be performing a back heel unless I tell them to. Moving on to mostly the negatives, for me the biggest by far is the fact that second man press has remained absolutely terrible. All the while, defensive mentalities like constant pressure, team press, etc. have remained amazing, if not even better. I'm not here to debate with those who argue second man press shouldn't be a thing. That video is for another day, but to me, that fact alone, that has remained and this has not changed, is a massive letdown and makes the game absolutely unbearable for me at my skill bracket. It opens the door for another year of possession rats. And if you think the answer is just to turn team press on, well then you haven't really understood my point all along. Moving on to the dribbling, it can feel really heavy at times. While in general you will feel way better dribbling mechanics as a whole when you have better dribbling players, as it should be, you do still have instances where you really can't turn like you are used to in the past. I feel like this maybe was done as a way to try and nerf possession, obviously, because if you can't wiggle around as much, you're going to lose the ball more. But for me, the way that EA approach nerfing possession hoarders is just completely wrong, and this ain't it. The way to circumvent the heaviness of dribbling in this game seems to be to use a combination of skill moves, which is why 5-star skillers are going to be very useful once again. I know some of you will love that, but to me, seeing the Elastico or other things not necessarily being a tool, but actually a necessity, something that you need to turn, is just sad. Left stick dribbling alone for me should be the foundation. Everything else is a bonus. For example, last year it was just absurd that scoring almost always required a running scoop turn beforehand. I know everyone talks about offensive AI improvements, and while there have been improvements, to me they're not as big as people make them out to be. Yes, we do have better AI, and yes, we do have manually triggered runs, which is a great addition, but the general AI is nowhere near as good as people think, and you will notice that the moment your opponents have 10 men behind the box, and scoring will once again require 10 minutes of consistent possession around the box. Just moving up and down, trying to find the same gap to turn and shoot from. I will also add that driven pass cutbacks from the wing are very overpowered, causing your defenders to just stare at crosses that they should really block and intercept. Also, taking a corner directly feels way too easy to score. I know a lot of you guys would love better headers, but the fact of the matter is that statistically speaking, the amount of headers that you could score in FIFA 20 was pretty accurate to real life. The only problem was that all they had to fix were the wide open headers that go in, but now it feels like we might have a shift of the meta in that regard. Also, you'll want to be careful when you manually call out a keeper. Overall though, I can already see that at my skill bracket, this game will be tough to deal with, as the usual rats will keep on having certain tools to do things that to me are just unfathomable. But look, I don't want to make this video too long, so for now, we'll just leave it at that. Like I said, these are just my first impressions. I hope you understand my disappointment and needing more time before I start producing my classic videos where I mention what my thoughts are and they're all backed by a ton of clips. I need more time. I'm just not in the mood to do that right now, and I want to focus on other stuff. After all, we do have the whole year for that. But as usual, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys next time for a highly requested video on how to trigger your runs manually. Peace.